Companions, welcome. I want to talk a little bit about two other mud bathers of the savanna, the bushpigs and the warthogs. But before I do that, I want to just return for a moment to my previous post about the elephant. I remarked then that elephants are destructive to their environment if they become too many. And that's true of them and all other species, of course. But in all fairness, elephants are highly beneficial to their environment where they are in balance with it. They push over trees and break trees and defoliate them and pull out shrubs and smaller vegetation, and that opens up the bush so that it can breathe and so that sunlight can get in and grass can grow for the other inhabitants of the savanna to utilize. They are also the great road builders of the bush. Now, anybody that has spent a lot of time walking in the bush will know that it's almost always better to follow a game path. You can move quietly along a game path because it's more open and you therefore have a better chance of spotting something. Also, it is safer because you become aware of danger easier. You don't have to pay so much attention to where you're walking and so on. And you don't get entangled in thickets where you're struggling to get through. So I always try and follow game paths when I'm walking in the bush, even if the game path is not going in exactly in the direction I'm heading. I will diverge from it somewhere in front and then find another one. It's just so much better and easier. And elephants are the main path makers.
We found a really nice elephant path that we could follow, and this of course is almost like a highway. They are the great engineers and road builders of the wilderness, as you can see here. Easy going.
If you find an elephant path, you're lucky. And the ancient migration routes are wide open highways almost. You can drive a vehicle along them, although it doesn't fit everywhere. It's a lot easier than driving through virgin bush. So that, in fairness to elephant, we found quite a bit of sign of both warthog and bushpig in this wilderness. So I want to tell you a bit more about them. Now let's talk about warthogs. Warthogs, I'm sure you know, are quite common on the savanna. They like more open savanna, grassland. They also occur in the drier parts of the savanna, like the Kalahari. They can do without water for extended periods. They are diurnal, so they come out during the day, and I'm sure those of you that have been to a game park must have seen them. Maybe you have seen them trotting in a straight line, the mom or dad in front, and the rest following with tails erect like aerials. Warthogs have got these tusks with which they dig, but their noses are of adapted cartilage that are very strong and with a hardened edge. And they can dig quite aggressively with their noses too. And they've got extremely good smell, so they smell their food from the surface and they dig for it. And they like tubers and roots and bulbs.
These are warthog diggings. You can see the kind of roots they're trying to dig out to eat.
They will also eat grass and fruit, and on occasion they will even eat carrion. Warthogs are noisy feeders. Although they smell extremely well and they've got very good hearing, they don't see very well. So they rely to a large extent on the presence of other animals, like baboons and birds and impala, for instance, to warn them of approaching danger. But it means that one can actually, if you're lucky with the neighbors, one can get quite close to them in the bush to observe them. They're very sturdily built. They're amazingly fast for an animal with such short legs. And because of their weight, the big boar can be 100 kilograms or more. When they're at full speed, they are like a ballistic missile through the bush. One has to be careful that you keep out of their way. As I said, they are diurnal, and at night they lie up in gullies and under rocks and so on, but their favorite are old aardvark or ant bear holes. Now, ant bears, one may think of as a pig, but they're not really a pig. They're from a different family, although they have the appearance of a pig. They are specialized termite eaters. They've got these long tongues that they can extend into the nest, but they are digging machines. They've got very strong claws and front legs, and they will dig into the side of the termite mound and into the termite nest to feast on them. And these holes are 500 millimeters or so, but warthogs love them to use as lairs. They will sometimes widen them a bit and even hollow them out a bit more. Sometimes these holes have got bigger chambers underneath made by the aardvark, or warthog will dig it out possibly with their tusks, and then they will move out the earth with their noses. When the sows have their young, they will pluck grass from the surrounding area and carry it into the hole. They use it to protect them against the elements during the hottest part of the day when they want to rest up, because it's nice and cool underground, and also as protection against predators. They will reverse into the hole, and a predator coming after them is confronted by those lethal tusks. So it's very hard to dislodge them. Although I know of cases where lion and leopard have actually pulled them out. Lion are inclined to try and dig them out even. Warthogs love rolling in the mud. They often use elephant mud baths too, or rhino mud baths, and they have their own. They do that because the mud cools them down and keeps them cool for quite a while afterwards, as the moisture evaporates from the mud on their skin, and protects them against the sun and against biting insects in the bush, and of course it smothers parasites that live on their skin. Warthog don't appear to be particularly territorial, although they will defend the area around their lair, and sometimes they're quite aggressive towards other species around the water holes, especially the ones they think they can intimidate. They're formidable adversaries with their tusks. Quite aggressive. They form these family groups consisting of a male, a female, and then the young. 3 to 10 is becoming quite big for warthogs. Sometimes the males will wander off after the mating. Will sometimes form male groups of 3 or 4 or so. So let's talk a little bit about bush pigs. Now, bush pigs are at least as common as warthog, maybe more so. In fact, I have some on my farm on the high veld, quite close to the city. Very few people have ever seen a bush pig. I have seen bush pigs only on 2 occasions, actually witnessed them. The one was early one morning. It was just getting light, and I was sitting against the side of a hill, and 2 bush pig came trotting past me along a game path on their way to their day lair. The other occasion was on my farm when I went out one night and I spotted one on the lawn, and I managed to get a snap of it. It was some time ago. So they are nocturnal animals. Where warthogs prefer open savanna, bush pigs like densely wooded areas, forests, and marshy areas with lots of reed beds. And they lie up there during the day and come out at night. And they love water. They are very strong swimmers, and they will even hide in water. They also form groups of 4, 12, 15 becomes quite large, and these groups can be quite a nuisance on farms. They are prolific crop raiders, and they can do a lot of damage. They move around quite a lot from where they spend their days, and they usually follow the same path, and you can see their paths often leading into the thickets. They are more territorial than warthog. They will chase other groups from their feeding grounds. They eat roughly the same things as warthogs, and they also have the same adapted noses.
This is a hollow scooped out by a bush pig. Here are its tracks. He or it has these rounded hooves, rounded in front, cloven of course.
And this is what warthog tracks look like compared to a bush pig. They're a little bit more elongated, but also rounded in front. So it's easy to confuse. Just a little bit narrower as compared to the bush pig.
But what is amazing, this soil is quite hard. That he could actually break through this soil with its snout. You can see the pattern of his snout here as he pushed out the material there, the pattern of his snout, and how his snout must be incredibly hard and tough to be able to do that.
But they will also kill and eat meat. They will kill ground-based birds and young of antelope, and so they love carrion as well. Bush pigs are highly intelligent and extremely cunning, and if they start raiding crops, it's extremely difficult to keep them out. Interestingly, they will build nests above ground. The sows will pluck grass from their surroundings and make almost like a small haystack. Quite big sometimes, the size of a small car, but extremely well hidden. And then she burrows into this stack of grass, and that's where she makes her nest and nurses their young. And once the young emerge from this nest, the boar will look after them. The sow will tend to ignore them from that point on, except to suckle them. Companions, so there's a few interesting little snippets, and hope you enjoyed that and that you will join me again next week. Good luck.